I am the last heir of a lineage of embalmers, and on my wedding day, my wife's childhood friend failed in his attempt to seize the marriage and jumped from a building, turning into a bloody mess. My wife regretted it madly, then became a nun to pray for him, imprisoning me in a prayer hall to sew corpses. She became the praised Mercy Guanyin, while I was abused in every way by the childhood friend's parents under the guise of supervision. When the corpse's kidneys ruptured, they removed my kidneys and implanted them in. When the corpse's legs were broken, they cut off my legs. In my dying moments, I called Meng Xiangwan for help, but her voice was cold and indifferent. Don't pretend, this is what we owe Wencan. What my aunt and uncle do to you is never excessive, especially since they're kind people. I died in despair, and when I opened my eyes again, I had returned to my wedding day. Hearing that the childhood friend was about to jump, I immediately took off my suit and gave Meng Xiangwan to him. This lifetime, let me be the one who dies early, the pure moonlight. If you want to die, that's your business. Everyone knows how deeply I love Gao. Do you think threatening me with suicide will make me change grooms? Meng Xiangwan glared coldly at Wencan on the rooftop, her right hand tightly holding mine. In my previous life, I didn't notice, but this time I realized she was actually trembling. How laughable. I once believed Meng Xiangwan loved me deeply. So she really worries about Wencan that much? I took off my suit and gently said, with false generosity, Xiangwan, it's just a wedding, life matters more. If he wants it, let him have it. Once he gets this wish, he probably won't cause trouble again. Meng Xiangwan stared at me in disbelief. Since before, I'd get jealous even when they went out alone, let alone changing grooms. Duan Gao, I chased you for 5 whole years. Only after countless proposals did you agree to marry me. Now you're telling me to let someone else be the groom? I adopted an even more tolerant posture to persuade her. I'm thinking of you. You two are childhood sweethearts, and you're so kind-hearted. If anything happened to Wencan, I'm afraid you'd torment yourself for life. After Wencan died, she indeed tormented herself for life. But compared to the suffering I endured, it was barely a fraction. Staring at her still elegant and beautiful face, I couldn't recall any sweetness, only the despair of having my kidneys removed, the excruciating pain of my legs being severed. Meng Xiangwan kissed me with tearful gratitude. Honey, you're so good. Wencan suddenly laughed bitterly. Brother Duan Gao, I truly envy you. The chance you don't cherish, tossing away with a single careless word, I had to pay with my life to obtain. Yet clearly, Xiangwan promised to marry me when we were kids. Indeed, love makes all the difference. Those favored always act with impunity. Wencan has always been skilled at provoking, and Meng Xiangwan falls for it completely. Upon hearing this, she stiffened, and her expression instantly carried more guilt. Finally, she relented and agreed to change grooms. At the highly anticipated wedding, Wencan wore my clothes, holding my bride, pleading desperately, I know this chance to marry Xiangwan is something I seized, but I just love her too much. Xiangwan, can I be selfish one more time? May I kiss you? Meng Xiangwan looked extremely moved, yet still glanced toward me in the audience. I put on a face full of sorrow, wanting to see what she would do, but after less than half a second of hesitation, she rose on her toes and kissed Wencan's lips. The crowd cheered and I clapped with a smile. I was truly foolish before actually believing Meng Xiangwan didn't love Wencan at all. As the newlyweds kissed passionately, I quietly stood up and left. I bought a ticket back home. Sitting at the dock waiting to board, I received a text from my parents. It's good that you've come to your senses. Our line of embalmers is different from ordinary people. We don't fit into modern society. From now on, stay on the island and faithfully inherit this craft. Your mother made pork rib soup, waiting for you to come home and drink it. A warm feeling filled my heart. Just as I was about to reply, I suddenly heard a cry of utter despair. Duan Gao, you know how deeply I love you. How could you abandon me? On a nearby hillside, Meng Xiangwan had actually come chasing after me with others, her wedding dress fluttering like a white banner in the wind. Meanwhile, the boat was slowly docking. The look in her eyes grew increasingly pleading, as if losing me would cause her soul-deep agony. Dante Holloway hurriedly hugged Maeve Holloway, his face full of concern. Xiangwan, I think he's just playing hard to get to scare you, making you unable to leave him. Otherwise, how could it be such a coincidence that the boat only docked when you arrived? I really feel for you, being played by him like a puppet. Hearing this, Maeve Holloway's expression suddenly froze, then in an instant, her eyes turned red. I don't care about any games, he can fool me all he wants. I accept it, I just can't live without him, Dante Holloway. You go and stop him right now, even if you have to break his legs, bring him back to me. Her people instantly rushed over and surrounded me. The boat was within reach, but I struggled desperately. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my legs, and I blacked out completely. When I woke up again, I found myself lying on Maeve Holloway's bed. She tightly held my hand, her eyes swollen and red from crying. I stared blankly for a while, finally recalling what had happened. In this lifetime, Maeve Holloway actually had someone break my legs again. Seeing my agitation, she quickly pressed me down gently and gave me water to drink. Ahow, your injury needs rest. Don't worry, I'll take care of you for the rest of your life. I suppressed my anger and asked her, has a doctor seen me? When will my legs heal? I've called the best orthopedic doctor in the country, but he said, you might never walk again. Liar, I'm a body seamster, I've studied human anatomy since childhood, I know I only suffered a fracture, with proper resetting, I can recover. How could I never stand again? I stared at her coldly. Maeve Holloway had never seen such a dead, hopeless look in my eyes. She grew increasingly anxious, gripping my hand tighter, terrified of losing me. Lucian Vale suddenly walked in, grabbed Maeve Holloway's shoulder, and said angrily, Dante Holloway, can't you be reasonable? Maeve Holloway hasn't slept for 3 days watching over you, and the moment you wake up, all you do is blame her. After forcibly pulling Maeve Holloway out of the room, he kept pouring out concern. I heard Maeve Holloway say bitterly, yes, if Dante Holloway hadn't run away, he wouldn't have been beaten, why else would I lie and say his legs can't be cured? If only he could be as understanding as you, actually caring about me. Even though I'd long given up on her, hearing those words still made my heart ache. How could I not care about Maeve Holloway? When her family nearly went bankrupt, it was me working day and night stitching corpses to earn money and help her through it. When she contracted a deadly virus and ran a high fever, it was me risking my life to care for her that saved her. Back then, Lucian Vale had already vanished God knows where. I'm just bad with words, I act, but I don't speak. Taking a deep breath, all my grievances ultimately dissolved into a single, let it go. After all, I no longer want her. I endured the pain and reset my own bowl. Then messaged my parents saying I wouldn't be returning home for a while. Then I quietly retrieved my body-seaming tools and, using myself as a model, began crafting a corpse. I couldn't live without Maeve Holloway while alive. Maybe in death, I finally could. After the paralysis, Maeve Holloway continued to care for me personally. Despite her slender frame, she had become skilled at lifting me into the wheelchair by herself. She smiled warmly and said, Dante, remember we agreed after marriage we'd make a donation at the temple. Then she glanced at Lucian Vale, who had come uninvited, and gently squeezed my palm in reassurance. He insisted on coming, but don't worry, I'll never let him disturb us. But truthfully, I had no mind for such things. As the car climbed the hill, the moment I saw the temple, endless blood and tearing pain surged over me like a tidal wave. This was the very place where I'd been tortured to death in my previous life. Maeve donated hundreds of thousands to the temple and brought food for the children at a nearby welfare home. Everyone praised her great virtue, saying she would surely get whatever her heart desired. She smiled as she held my hand and said tenderly, let's tie our hair together and pray to be together for lifetimes to come, okay? I almost instantly yanked my hand away, terrified that if the Buddha heard my prayer, he might actually bind me to her across lifetimes. Maeve froze, a flicker of sorrow crossing her eyes. Lucian Vale immediately stepped forward to support her, saying pitifully, the wish I've longed for with all my heart, someone else just throws away like trash. I'd gladly give my life to be with Maeve across lifetimes. Maeve suddenly turned cold, took Lucian Vale's arm, and walked toward the statue of the Buddha, tossing back only one sentence to me, I've spoiled you all these years now, it's time you learned to behave. They tied their hair together before the altar, praying for reunion in the next life. Maeve searched my face for a trace of regret, but I gave her only blankness. Lucian Vale approached with a smug look, and when no one was watching, kicked my wheelchair over with full force. I crashed hard onto the ground, my face crushed beneath his foot, unable to move. You paralyzed wretch, what are you so proud of now? Even after suffering so much last life, you still don't understand? Maeve truly loves me most. If I hadn't been unlucky enough to fall from that building, we'd already be together. You think she wouldn't abandon you at just a word from me? I was stunned he had also been reborn. What are you doing? The icy voice of Maeve Holloway suddenly rang out. Lucian Vale quickly lifted his foot and switched to his usual pitiful expression. Maeve, I'm sorry, I was trying to apologize to Dante, but he started cursing me instead. Fine if he insults me, but he claimed you kissed me, called you dirty, said you were a whore. I was so furious on your behalf, I just couldn't hold back. Maeve stiffened completely, staring at me in disbelief. Her tear-filled eyes slowly filled with rage. She gave me no chance to explain, she turned and walked away. If you think I'm dirty, then don't ride in my car, no one is to take him, let him crawl down the mountain himself. Lucian Vale shrugged, silently flashed me a mocking good luck gesture, then slipped into the passenger seat of Maeve's car, carefully comforting her. In moments, the convoy vanished, leaving me alone in my wheelchair. Truthfully, my legs had begun to recover. I could barely walk now. I had considered using this moment to escape, but then noticed Maeve had left at least 3 people secretly watching me. After a few bitter laughs, I resigned myself and began wheeling down the mountain. By the time I returned home, it was well past midnight. My hands were blistered, bleeding heavily. Maeve wasn't asleep, she had ointment ready beside her. Staring at my wounds, her eyes filled with heartache, but after biting her lip, she simply threw the ointment at me, turned her back, and coldly said, "Dante, I truly regret ever loving you." I didn't answer, only smiled. "Funny, Maeve, so do I." After that day, I remained locked in my room. Maeve never came to see me again. That was fine. I devoted myself to crafting the corpse, and a week later, it was finally complete. My legs had recovered significantly, it was time to consider how to fake my death and escape. As I sat deep in thought, the door suddenly swung open. The servant entered holding a suit, and without a word, began forcing it onto me. "My parents are hosting a charity gala to celebrate my wedding. You must attend as the groom." But in truth, it didn't matter at all whether I showed up. When Maeve wheeled me in, her parents were already arm in arm with Lucian Vale's parents, calling each other in-laws, like they'd rehearsed. Everyone praised how perfectly Lucian and Maeve belonged together, pushing them to the center of every group photo. I was invisible. During photos, they even made sure to include the Vale family dog, but no one remembered to call my name once. Then suddenly, Lucian led his parents toward me, his cold smirk slick and venomous. "Dante, my parents wanted to come see you." As he spoke, he slipped a long knitting needle into his mother's hand. Leona Vale blinked, confused. "Why are you giving me this?" She didn't remember last life, she used this very tool to torture me to death. Dozens of these needles, driven deep into my skin, vanishing beneath my flesh. Now, I began trembling uncontrollably. Sneering, Leona stepped closer. "So you're Dante? Don't look like much? Just a cripple. Maeve must be blind to throw away our Lucian for someone like you." Her mouth moved, but all I saw was that long glinting needle. Still talking, she casually poked me with it. The last thread of my restraint snapped. I jerked violently, shoving her away, sending the needle slicing across her arm. Lucian smiled, satisfied, then screamed at the top of his lungs, "Mom? Are you okay?" As every eye turned toward them, he wore a mask of helpless sorrow. "I brought my parents here out of kindness," and he suddenly called my mom a whore and attacked her. He turned to Maeve. "I know you love him deeply. Of course you won't punish him. We'll just accept we were unlucky. Sorry, I won't ever trouble you again." He turned to leave. Maybe it was pity for Lucian or maybe the word whore had triggered something, but Maeve erupted in fury. She slapped me hard across the face, shouting, "Call us dirty? You a corpse eater? That's what I think it is, right? I ate from the same plate as him, makes me want to vomit." Everyone backed away, some actually bending over, retching. Lucian chuckled quietly, pretending to defend me. "Dante handles corpses, yes, but he's not dirty. There's a pool, right? He can just wash off." Then he kicked my wheelchair into the water, forcing my head under the surface. My lungs burned, ready to burst, but to keep hiding my healed legs, I stayed limp, letting the cold water swallow me. In the struggle, I caught sight of her face twisted with pain. But when she saw Lucian's wounded expression, she turned cold. "It's not your fault, he got what he deserved." The girl who once smiled and said she loved me despite my hands, the girl who swore she adored me was truly dead. No one came to save me. Only after the guests left did I drag myself, soaked and broken, back onto land. I laughed bitterly. On the bright side, this gave me the perfect chance to fake my death. That night, I didn't go home. Instead, I carried a dummy corpse to the hotel rooftop. Before, I suffered because I only worked, never spoke. This time, I wrote Maeve a long farewell letter in Lucian's exact tone. I'd secretly recorded every taunt Lucian had thrown at me. Now, I attached them to the email. Last life, after Lucian died, Maeve hated me with madness. This time, I'm the one who dies. What will she do to him? Wind howled across the roof. The moment I hit send, the corpse crashed to the ground. Goodbye, Maeve.